So, shall we make a start? Anybody else coming?
Yes, and it'll take them a few minutes, I
So
suspect.
we can start, right? That's how the class is
We can
going.
start, yeah.
I don't know yet.
Here we go.
There's a couple guys.
Yeah?
Oh. Oh.
Good. All right. So we're starting at the beginning of the parasha. Chapter Ches, Pasuk Aleph, where the Pasuk tells us, V'yidaber Hashem el Moshe le'omer, Daber el Aaron v'amarte lo Behaalotha es haneros el mu pnei hamenorah Ya'iru Shiva Saneros. So we see that the Pasha begins with a restatement in a different form of the mitzvah of Hadlocha Sameras in the menorah, in the Mishkan, Alidei Aaron HaKohen. So, ask yourself the shaila on the part of the intelligent reader. We've already had the menorah several times already in the Torah. If you go back, we had it in Parshat Truma when Moshe Rabbeinu received the divine from Hashem how to make the Mishkan. We're told all the details of the menorah. Then later on in Parsha Tetzaveh, which is the next Parsha after that, it mentions the menorah again. And Hashem says to Moshe, you will command the Jewish people they should bring you shemen to light a ner tamid, or that's in the, once again, the menorah. And then in Parsha, in Sefer Vayikra, in Parsha Emoya, near the end of Vayikra, right near the end of Parsha Emoya, we have once again a whole portion of numerous psukim regarding the menorah. And most of those points that are made here are told over there and in Parshat Truma in a slightly different way, slightly different even. And the interesting thing is that if you look up Rashi's Pirush over there in Parsha Moya, Rashi says that that's where they were given the mitzvah, or Aaron and the Kohanim were given the mitzvah to light the menorah. That what was mentioned in Truma was only how to make the menorah. What was mentioned in Parshat Tetzaveh was a promise to Hashem, a promise that Hashem gave Moshe that they would bring in. That's a sort of special, in inverted commas, additional inyan. The actual commandment that you should light the lights, that's in Parsha Moya. So in Kem, we've got how to make the menorah, we've got something special in regards to the menorah, and now we have the mitzvah of the menorah in Parsha Emoya. Ask yourself the shadow, what's it there? What all of a sudden do we have here at the end of Parsha Nosai, in the beginning of Parsha Behaalotha, which is called in reference to this, the whole Parsha is called Behaalotha. What do we have once again? The repetition of the menorah. Yeah, we need to understand what I have that again. And then we go on immediately with other inyanim, which would appear to be like a hemshech of the whole inyan of the putting up of the Mishkan. Then you need people to work in the Mishkan. So you have to have the Labiyim, and then we have about the Labiyim, and we have this, and we have that. Things that all follow on. Then we have Pesach Sheni, which is a very fascinating section about Pesach Sheni. And all those inyanim have their own inyanim, and they're like a hemshech of everything we've had so far. What all of a sudden this inyan of Behaalotha Saneres, all of a sudden in the middle here, what is the inyan of having it again? So Rashi, in a way, is bothered by that. Or, well, let's say, Rashi asks another question, but inside his answer that he gives, he also covers this question. So Rashi says, Behaalotha, and then Rashi says, Loma nismacho parshas hamanera leparshas hanesiyam. At the end of Parsha Nosoi, before Shavuos, we had all the Nesiyim bringing their korbanos to Chanukas HaMizbeach. How would you, what's the cousin's name again? I've forgotten his first name. Oh, how would you translate the word Chanukas HaMizbeach?
Lamps of the table.
Menorah b'shvil shulkan.
Yeah.
Menorah, I'm asking about the Mizbeach.
Yeah, of the table or the platform.
The Chanukah.
Not Hanukkah, not
The
Hanukkah.
altar.
Chanukah.
Like the altar.
Inauguration.
Dedication.
Dedication.
Yeah, it's a ceremony.
Chanukas HaMizbeach means what we might call the initiation of the Mizbeach.
Opening ceremony.
As we're preparing the Mizbeach, that it should be able to be the Mizbeach, yeah? And the whole idea of a preparation of that nature is fascinating. It asks itself the question, what in effect were they doing in the scene? What did they want with all these korbanos? And we call it Chanukas HaMizbeach. So now I'm going to ask you a Balabatisha question. Have you guys ever heard of a housewarming party?
Yeah. Yes.
Ever heard of a housewarming party? I think, even if I'm not mistaken, even by the Goyim you have such a thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
When a guy buys a new house, or he goes into a new house, or he makes what they call a party. You know, unfortunately, by the Goyim it can sometimes be a good opportunity to have a bit of a shikha and make a whole sort of a holus bolus, you know. By Yidden, it's a big minhag to make what's called a Chanukas Habayit. So ask yourself the question, here there's something gone down into history that's even jumped over in some ways to the non-Jews. In effect, Chanukas Habayit, how do you call it? Warming up, or in some way making a special a gesture or effort to in some way prepare the bayit. So ask yourself the question, what's the nature of this whole thing? It's a very accepted custom. I think especially in the United States, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
People make what's called a housewarming. Yeah, it's a sort of quite an accepted thing, quite a well-known thing. So I saw the shaila. What is the nature of all this? What is the word Chanukat HaMizbeach? So I would like to suggest that if we examine the root letters of the word Chanuchat HaMizbeach that you get the word Chinuch. Yeah, Chanuchat or Chanukah, the actual name of the Chag called Hanukkah. What, by the way, the Ramban says it's got to do with this whole thing here. The word Chanukah is based on the idea of Chinuch. And therefore there's a famous remark of the Shiur Kodesh, isn't there?
What is chinuch?
Oh, chinuch?
Is
Education.
Pack away some of your coffee over there. There's a famous...
Where are you asking me? The word chinuch? The word chinuch? That's the...
the Mila Hinach. The Mila Hinach.
Healing?
Hinach.
Chinuch, yeah.
Yeah, like education.
Exactly. The word Chanukah is from the word Chinuch. And therefore there's a famous remark of the Shiur HaKodesh. And the Shiur is buried over here in Tiberia. What the Shiur HaKodesh says, that the reason we call it Chanukah, because the Chashmonaim, they educated the world how to behave. The whole Indian of the Greeks were very, how do you call it, culturally into things, but they didn't know how to run a world. They brought to negative and very improper things. Yeah? Just like a dogma we saw by Shnoisa Ashoya, Rahman Oya Lesia. You had a tremendously brilliant and educated people, but they didn't know how to run the world. They, Rahman in the time, they did the most terrible, destructive things that have ever happened in history, except for Stalin. He was a lot worse. That we see that you can know a lot, but you're not properly educated. In other words, education is not just knowledge. It's not just a body of information. No, education would appear to be a way of, and therefore the Chashmonaim, they re-educated the whole world, because they said if you're going to have Mesiras Nefesh for something and give yourself away, not for your tithers and not to run around controlling other people, but to build a base of midas, what it tells the world about HaKadosh Baruch Hu and how he says to run the world. It's a big concept of the, what do you call him, Shiur HaKodesh introduces to us that the whole idea of a housewarming, if we might call it that, or the whole idea of is the idea of a chinuch, like an education. And so we need to think, what is the nature of education? Does education mean doing for the child all sorts of good things that he would really want you to do, and just, trying to keep him within a bit of a control? Or does educate mean something me'ala me'eva, let's say, something beyond that altogether? So I just want to tell you, as is customary in these classes, a little story that when you first think about it, it's a little surprising, but when you think about it, it's we get to this point I'm trying to bring across. The Rabbi writes when he was a young boy, he writes when he was about 4 or 5, something like that, it came to Erev Pesach, and his parents bought him a pair of new shoes. So a boy of that age, particularly in Russia, you didn't have a new pair of shoes every Monday and Thursday, So he was very, very pleased with his new shoes, and he put them on before the actual time of Pesach came, and he took a rag with some cleaning material and he polished them up, and he sort of, strutted slightly in front of others that they should look at the shoes. So the Rebbe Rashab called him in, even though he was only, when I say, you can't say about a genuine Rebbe that he was a young boy, but he was, not grown up, let's put it that way. So the Rebbe Rashab called him in, and he said, listen, those shoes, being tofes makom, etiquette, they're grabbing a place by you much more than what they really meant to. He said a pair of shoes is a very important thing, and even in the Gemara we find a certain reference, but the whole meaning is that through the shoes you're able to do what you're supposed to be doing, and you have a separation between you and the ground. Yeah, but that's what they brought down in Divrei Chazal. That appears to be an important idiom. So that's what you should. So the Rebbe Rashab said to him, you must start thinking, what do I need the shoes for, and what am I able to achieve through the shoes? Not just that, oh wow, I got a new pair of shoes. So when the Rebbe Rayatz heard that, he had a very severe, how do you call it, reckoning within himself. And he decided that he would look at the shoes in a completely different way. Well, he didn't put them on again before, the day of Erev Pesach. And only then he put them on, and he worked on himself not to sort of make a whole fuss out of the shoes. So when you think about that, you can think, wasn't the Rebbe Rashab being a little bit sort of hard? Yeah, he's got a very capable boy, and he's very conscientious. Let him enjoy his present for Pesach, So we see that the Rebbe didn't want him to just enjoy things. He wanted him to see, what am I supposed to be achieving through that? And what is a new thing? It's a COVID of Yom Tov, and it has certain things to it, but it's not just a thing that I strut and I sweat slightly in front of others. A completely different idea that Hashem gave him, that the Rebbe, Rashab, gave the Rebbe Rayatz. On the basis of that story, I want to now approach this whole thing. So let's take a look at what Rashi says. So Rashi says, "Behaalotha, loma nismacho parsha hamaner leparsha sanishiyim." Rashi's got another question. Now, l'chora, Rashi should ask this everywhere, but he doesn't. Wherever there's a completion of a parsha and a new parsha starts off, l'chora, we should ask ourselves the question: why is this new parsha and its content? Why are they made close to? Why are they put here, especially close to the previous parsha? Now that's what we call smuchim. How to call it, things close one to the other. And the Gemara brings a Masechta Brachas, and also I think elsewhere in Chaz, in Masechta Yevamos, the Gemara says that we're allowed to learn shmuchim of one inyan to the other in the Torah. We're allowed to learn that min Torah. There's a koyach in the Torah given to us to learn this shmuchim. But we don't see that Rashi asks this question: why is this nismach lazeh? In next week's parsha, he does. He asks, why does the Meraglim put near to the end of this parsha? Wow. But here he also asks it. Yeah? So that means that there's something that must be bothering Rashi, and therefore he wants to know why are these two things put close one to the other. So we had the Nasiim, and the Nasiim was, like we said, Chanukah's, whatever we're going to learn, pshat in that, the education or the initiation of the whole Mishkan, and we dealt with that in detail. 12 times we repeated what every Nasi bought, everything, and then all of a sudden we have Aaron lighting the. So Rashi, l'chora, we could suggest, is also bothered at the back of the question. You know, what all of a sudden the menorah all over again? We've already had the menorah several times, like I hinted at before. Right. So what's it doing, if already has to be mentioned again, what's it doing right alongside Nasiim? Maybe that will help me understand why do I mention it again. So therefore he says, Lefi Kisharo Aaron Chanukas Hanasiim, because when Aaron saw the Chanukat Hanasiim, he saw all the korbanos with the Nasiim bought for the initiation of the Mishkan. Chosha Oz Datoi. How do you call it? Do you know what it means? Chalisha Sadas? Oh, it's good.
Weakness,
it's good to know.
weakness of...
Chalisha Sadas means weakening of the mind.
Oh.
And that's a way of talking in Lashon Kodesh. You say you have Chalisha Sadas, means you're upset or you're offended or you feel piqued about something that puts you off, you know. Well, that's called Chalisha Sadas. So here we have Aaron. What Aaron is, he's Moshe Rabbeinu's brother, and he's a tremendously holy man. And all of a sudden he sees all the Nasiim bringing Chanukas on his beard and all there does. And all of a sudden he has he's upset, he's offended, as it were. Chol Shadato. Yeah? Kishaloi hoyo imohem b'Chanukah. Because he didn't join them, and he wasn't together with them in the Chanukah, whatever that means, in the initiation. Yeah, loi hu v'loi shiftoi, not he on his own, and not his whole tribe. The Shevet Levi didn't offer anything. We get 12 because the two sons of Yosef make up 12. Yeah, Shevet Levi didn't bring anything. So Aaron is piqued and he's had a good. He's got Chalishas Hadas, meaning, you know, his mind is weakened, he's upset. Yeah, loy hu v'loy shiftoi. Oma loy HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibusha said to him, Chayecho. Yeah, now the word Chayecho is a way of talking in Lashon Kodesh, a way of saying to somebody, oh, by your life, that means, you know, come on, take it easy, think for a moment, you know. And it's like a way of saying to somebody, you probably heard it in modern Hebrew, you hear people saying one to the other, I come on, b'chayecha, that means, how to say, you know, come on, think straight, you know, straighten yourself out with it. It's a way of talking. So the Rebbe said, come on, yeah, chayecha, yeah, shelcho gedela mishalehem, or your portion is greater than them. Sha'ato madlik umeitiv es haneros. You light and you, as it were, renew or make new or make better the neres. So does anybody know what it means, meitiv es haneros? Yeah, it's called in, we had it all in all the other places, hatovas haneres. Don't know what it is. The neres had to be prepared, you know, and the shemen from the night before, if it hadn't been burnt completely, had to be taken out. New wicks had to be put in, and everything. The neres had to be prepared. Well, that's called hatovas haneres. How do you call it? As it were, to improve and make ready the neres, and then to light the actual lights. That's called hadlakah. Right. So we have two things. We have tovas haneres, and we have hadlakas haneres. Now, if one day you guys will be really in an athletic mood, then we'll be able to go into the Rambam holds that really they're both the same thing. The Rambam's got a very special approach to this whole thing. But the way we learn it in a inverted commas orthodox way is that it's two things, right? So Hashem says to Aaron, your portion is greater than them, because you made tiv, you work on the nerves and make them ready, and you also you light the nerot. Finish. That's it. Now, if you just examine that Rashi, then Aaron was upset that he didn't have a part in the Chanukah. So it comes along Hashem, and Hashem says, don't have Chalisha Zadas. Hello. Sit up if you don't mind. If you lay down like that, you're just going to slow. It could be your slow even if you're sitting. But at least that's, as they call it in Yiddish, a whole betzorah. A whole betzorah means half of a problem. Yes. So Hashem is comforting Aaron for what he had problems with. What did he have problems? That he saw all the Nasiim bringing all the things for the Chanukah, and he wasn't part of that. Now that would tend to indicate a very profound Indian inside Aaron. He wanted to be part of the Chanukah. He wanted to be part of that thing called Chanukah. So Hashem says to him, don't worry, my boy. He said, you have something much better than they do, would appear in the Chanukah. You follow? Mm-hmm. And you have the Hadlochas Haneres. And that is something that gives you a speciality as regards the whole Chanukah. Now, why do I say that? Because if you look in the Medrash Tanchuma, where Rashi gets that from, you see quite a different presentation over there in the Medrash and what here. And everybody asks kashas on Rashi based on what the Medrash says. But there's a big klal that the Rabbi taught us. Rashi sometimes learns a certain point from a Medrash, but he changes the lashon of the Medrash to fit what he believes to be is really the meaning of the pasuk. Isn't it? But Rashi does that quite a lot. So if you look over there in the Medrash over there says a whole different sort of thing. And it says that Aaron, he had a Chalisha Zadas, because he wasn't part of all the korbanos and everything of the Nasiim. He didn't offer korbanos together with them. So came along Hashem and said, listen, the neros are bigger than the korbanos. Ki haneros heim li oilam, v'korbanos lo li oilam. That the neros are forever. So everybody says, well, the korbanos are not forever because the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed. So when the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed, then the neros also stopped. And therefore they learn that that's hinting at the neros Chanukah, and the Ramban brings that down, Barichas, that the neros Chanukah are based on the menorah, and they last over all the generations. Oh, but there's not a hint of that in Rashi, because Rashi learns that we're only talking about the Chanukah. That's what we're talking about. And the Medrash Tanchuma deals in a general way with the whole idea of the korbanos, and it hints at an everlasting aspect of the neros when they get to their pu'ula in the future years to come, even in the Zman HaGolas. Yeah? That's a different thing. Rashi doesn't mention all that. He doesn't go into that at all. He said what was bothering Aaron was the idea of the Chanukah, this whole idea, the initiation of the Mishkan. Aaron was bothered that he didn't have part of that. And Hashem said, don't worry, that the Hadlochas Haneres and the Hatovas Haneres, which you have, well, that gives you a part of the Chanukah, which is greater than them. That's what it would appear if you learn the simple implication of the thing. So ask yourself the question, what is that of an answer? Why do the Neros have about a certain thing which is greater than all the all the Nasiim, when the Nasiim bought all sorts of good things, they bought also Torahs, and they bought all sorts of good Sachen. Each Nasi bought a whole big package of different things. And some people say that they bought all the possible things that you could actually bring on them as back. Even the Keturas is a thing you can't bring on them. They really got